time to see if this works. Hello, my name is Noi, and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I'm an introverted dragon who, for whatever reason, decided to start a YouTube channel. I basically wanted to put myself out there a little more, but honestly, this is like jumping into the deep end of the pool without knowing how to swim. So stick around and watch me drown. Hopefully my flailing will be a little bit entertaining. As I just mentioned, I have no idea what I'm doing. Originally, I wanted to do some streaming, but fun fact, you kind of need internet to do that. And internet is more of a hypothetical concept where I am. You may be wondering, how did I upload this video then? Simple. Anywho, the next idea I had was to do gameplay videos, but as it turns out, I zone out when playing them. So unless someone wanted to sit there and watch me go for like a few hours, I don't think that would work out either. So I eventually just settled on reviewing audiobooks. I listened to a lot of them, and while I'm not a literary professor or expert reviewer of any kind, I thought it would be a good enough place to start. So, preamble aside, let's see how this goes, I guess. The first audiobook that I'll be reviewing is about a bird who can't bird properly. It's called Cheep and is written by Michael Adams and narrated by Kirby Hayborn. It is an isekai story, and while I figure most people probably know what that means, some people may not. So, basically, isekai, to the best of my knowledge, is the Japanese word for another world. Basically, all that means is that a story features a character being sent from one world that they know to another world that they don't, usually by magical means, but not always. This usually has the main character trying to find their way home or adapt to their new world in some way. In this particular situation, the main character grew up in a modern world, possibly the one that you all know and love, or tolerate, or exist in, whatever. But upon his passing, he is reincarnated into another world in the form of a bird. Accidentally. Maybe. Now, in most cases where you have a main character who is turned into an animal or something, they are mostly trying to get back their human form, which is understandable. They're still human in their own minds, so yeah. But that isn't exactly how this one goes. The main character had a pretty horrible life in his world, so when he's given a second chance at life, he goes all in on the whole being a bird thing. The main character is also extremely family oriented, so he quickly kind of gets behind the whole having feathered siblings and parents and stuff. It's possibly spurred on due to some family trauma that he might be going through. I kind of wonder if they're going to touch this on later books or in later books, but who knows? But there's some stuff going on in this history. I suppose it is a little bit late for this, but this is the first book in a series, and at the time of recording this, there are only 2 books out, I believe. This video is only going to be covering the first one. As the main character is human, or was human, I should say, and also a human from another world, he doesn't know anything about his current reality. He doesn't know the history, he doesn't know the kingdoms, he doesn't know the rules, he doesn't even know, again, how to bird properly. His human mind makes him overlook and misunderstand a whole lot, especially when it comes to how his current form kind of works. and how intelligent both his parents and his siblings are. Most of this is going to be kind of beaten into his head throughout the story. Actually, all of it's going to be beaten into. Some of it doesn't seem to get beaten into his head quite as hard as I might like. I do like the main character, but sometimes I just want to slap him upside the head. Okay. Humans may not get this, but instincts are not to be trusted in most situations. If your instincts are going, hey, don't go into that place, or hey, don't eat that, then you're usually okay by listening to them, right? If they say the opposite, like, hey, let's go walk into that place, or hey, let's go eat that, you should probably stop. The main character doesn't seem to get that, and he pays for it repeatedly. Now, as neither the main character or the listener are from the world, a lot of it ends up being a mystery. Even by the end of the book, there's going to be a bunch of things that were hinted at or implied, but are never fully fleshed out. They're probably going to go into it in another book. They're kind of setting the groundwork for a lot, so there's going to be a whole bunch of open-ended things. You're not going to have a full detailed picture of how the world works by the end of the first book, which I honestly rather enjoy. Isekai stories sometimes suffer from heavy exposition dump. Almost every side character will be trying to explain like the lore, history, or just everything. And most, or not, a lot of lesser isekai stories. Thankfully, that isn't the case in this one. The main character is a bird. There isn't some random wizard roaming the forest going, "Ah, yes, my good bird. Please allow me to explain the socio-political landscape of the kingdom, as well as the past several hundred years of history. Also take this bag of holding. I'm sure a random bird will need it in their travels." Actually, that would be kind of funny. Then you have like the wizard that walks off and explains the same thing to a rock, but gives it like a magical sword or something. Just some insane wizard that's like roaming the wilderness, handing out magic items, and all the history that he's saying is just like BS because he's friggin' insane. It kind of went off on a tangent there, but yeah, no, this isn't a story like that. Thankfully, exposition is mostly natural. There is a slight feeling of superficiality, is that even a word? That I can't quite place. It just kind of lingers somewhere, nagging at the back of my mind. Not really sure what it is. Someone who knows what they're doing might be able to point out why that is. Just something that kind of nags me a little bit. But all in all, I think it's a lovely little story that is entertaining, but still nowhere near like a high fantasy epic or anything. It's basically like a popcorn food kind of story. Fun and nice, and something that I would probably recommend so long as you aren't expecting like a full course meal kind of thing. I suppose I should talk about the narration, but honestly, I don't think I'll ever have much to say about this unless it's done horribly. I did find Kirby Hayborn's performance entertaining. Their bass narration is enough to keep my interest. Also, while not distracting from the characters when they're speaking or thinking. Like, his general narration doesn't overshadow the characters, which can happen, but not in the story. Still, that's just about all I can think about saying. I suppose I should give some sort of score or something. Ah, but scores are dumb and reductive, says some person somewhere probably. Generally, I would agree with that, though most of the audiobooks that I'm going to be reviewing are going to be coming from my own personal library, which means most of them are going to be things that I actually enjoy. So, a lot of the reviews are going to end up something like, I think book is good. That I don't think that's going to end up being very informative. So, yeah, numbers might be a little handy in this situation. At least until I get around to reviewing stuff that I don't actually like, which is probably going to be painful. I tend not to listen to things that I don't like, so yeah. Anywho, I would likely give this 6 out of 10. Now, that may seem a bit harsh, seeing that most people, for whatever reason, tend to use 7s or 8s as average ratings. That's not how I do things. On a scale of 1 to 10, 5 is average. Anything above 5 is above average. So, yeah, the book is good, but it's not world-changing or anything. While I did enjoy the book and found the premise and the world interesting, it's still just slightly above average in my opinion. A fun listen about an odd world with some interesting characters. Something I might re-listen to at some point, but it hasn't gripped me fully. Maybe the next book will. If the series eventually comes to an end, I will give an overall rating on the series. Maybe. Depends on how this goes. I might not even exist by then. Who knows? And I kind of think that that might change things a little. I mean, I could see a situation where every book in a series gets like a 6 or a 7, but the series as a whole gets like a 9, just because of how like all the stories kind of fit together and like build off of each other. Like each individual story may not be all that great, but the whole that they create is better. I could kind of see that. Anywho, I don't really know what to do at this point. Fun fact, I've actually tried recording this thing like 30 plus times at this point. This probably won't even be the first version that even gets uploaded. Who knows? I tend to get a little bit obsessive over some things. I'm probably going to listen to myself and freak out here in a little bit. Yeah. I don't even know how to make this thing. I guess I could probably just make it fade to black. Like, yeah.